Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew for this one. But if you remember, the beginning of Luke's Gospel story, it starts with a census of the known world ordered by the great Quirinius, right? Now, this is how we start off the Advent Christmas time. Everyone has to travel to their hometowns, right? And this happened as Mary's pregnant with Jesus, about to give birth. And the forces of the world, it sends everybody into upheaval as they travel back to their hometowns to register. Now, as you can imagine, many folks were not happy about this. And one guy by the name of Judas of Galilee actually gathered a following and led a violent resistance against the census. His followers told all the people, do not register. And then they said, if we find out any of you did register for the census, we're going to come and we will burn your house to the ground and steal your cattle. Oh yeah, that's a really nice guy. Rome's response to uprisings like this was always the same. Crucify the leader and the followers scatter. But they don't. Rome always mistook a lull in uprisings for genuine peace. Judas is actually mentioned in Acts 5. Not Judas Iscariot, Judas of Galilee, by a member of the Sanhedrin who said about these new apostles making this waves with this Jesus thing. They said, Judas the Galilean rose up at the time of the census and got people to follow him. He also perished, and all who followed him were scattered. So in the present case, I tell you, keep away from these men and let them alone, because if this plan or this undertaking is of human origin, it will fail. But if it is of God, you will not be able to overthrow them. In that case, you may even be found fighting against God. You see, they all knew the tactic. Messiah figures always lead rebellions and always end up crucified. It's almost cyclical and predictable. Now, the time of our passage when Jesus enters the city on a colt is Passover. Pilgrims are coming from all over into Jerusalem for the high holiday season. The population is going to grow from like 20 to 50,000 to 250 to possibly 750,000 people. Occupying Rome, you can imagine, is totally on edge. So they increase their military forces in the area to accommodate the rise in population. Judas of Galilee started a movement called the Zealots. They were his followers. And they're still waiting for the right time to strike. There's always little uprisings that happen when the lull becomes too emotional to maintain. But soldiers always rush in, suppress it, find the leader, crucify him. We're done here, right? But every once in a while, a larger scale uprising happens and things get a little messy. Pilate, as the Roman governor of the area, has like 2 jobs. That's all he's got. He has 2 jobs: keep the peace, send the taxes. That's it. You can do those 2 things, you're good to go, man. So there's this tense relationship between Jew and Roman in this area. Now the people start spreading their cloaks on the ground to welcome Jesus into Jerusalem. Why? Why cloaks? Is it less like courtesy? Are there puddles that need to be covered, right? Like, has this ever happened in their history before? The answer is yes. 2 Kings 9. Elisha, a powerful prophet, told one of his attendants to run down to Jerusalem and anoint Jehu as king, and then run back home quickly. Seems cool, right? Well, no, because Ahab was already king, and a really, really bad one at that. So Elisha secretly transferred the power while Ahab was still on the throne and subverted the evil king. So when everybody found out, they placed their cloaks on the ground and proclaimed as Jehu's riding into town, Jehu is king. He ended up overthrowing the evil king Ahab, which is exactly the thing that people want Jesus to do now. Overthrow Herod, overthrow Pilate, overthrow the Roman Caesar, kick out the Sanhedrin, take care of the Pharisees. Make our old stories come to life in our present day, like Moses and the Egyptians. Bring it back. Give us our freedom and our dignity and crush the Roman occupiers. So the cloaks are symbolic of the expectation not only of Jesus' claim to the throne, but what he's going to do with that authority. But he doesn't fulfill their expectation. He dies, like all the rest who tried before him. But this one's different because he predicted it and he went willingly. And his followers scatter like all the rest, but somehow this one sustained throughout history, outliving the Zealot movement and Rome itself, the whole entire Roman Empire. And the people start shouting and waving palms next. That's what they do. And we have to ask, why are they waving those palm branches around?